Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, lecturer.
Okay, very good, thanks. So last week we have finished with the gravity model already. Are there any questions from last week? No. Okay. So we move to another module then. You don't have any further clarification needed. Let me share my screen first. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah, teacher.
Okay, very good then. So we move to module number 7, which focusing on the Ricardian models. We already finished like the gravity model, okay? We already learned some determinants of the international trade. There are several factors or there are several motives to contribute to the international trade transactions to be happened. So now we move to one of the series, which is the very beginning or the classical series that is called Ricardian Models. Okay. So this is the basics of international trade. So what is the basis of international trade? That is the we can say that in order to do the trade, each country need to observe the absolute advantage and comparative advantage. Okay. Absolute advantage has been introduced by the Adam Smith, while the comparative advantage introduced by David Ricardo. Absolute advantage meaning to say that this is the advantage that the country. Okay, we can discuss this in the next slide, but these are the basis of trade. Okay, yeah. And what are the gain from trade? We also going to look at this also. Okay, the model of the absolute and comparative advantage, so that the gain from trade are increased consumption through specialization in the production and trade. Meaning to say that we have this absolute advantage and comparative advantage, and then it can show you the gain from trade by increasing the consumption. Okay, and how can we increase the consumption? Through the channel is by specialization in the productions, and then you do the trade together, and then you will get the increase in the consumptions. Okay. Am I discussed to you? Sorry, did I discuss to you with the trade evolutions? Hello. Hello.
I think you, lecturer.
Hello.
Hello, lecturer.
Yeah. Did I discuss to you with the trade evolutions?
I think you haven't, lecturer.
Not yet.
Yes.
Okay. So let me move back a little bit, or can I just write down here? Okay. Maybe I just write down it over here. Okay. How can I have a text? I cannot write any text. So give me a minute. I try to make another. Maybe this one is much more easier. Can you see my Microsoft Word? Can you see my Microsoft Word?
Yes, lecturer.
Good. The trade evolutions. This one is starting since, or you can call that as the trade international evolution. or you can call this one as the international trade development stage. Correctly, it has been happened since long times ago, but it has been documented since maybe 16th century. As I'm not wrong. Sorry. Yeah. Century. Century. That is the absolute advantage by Adam Smith. Okay. Introduced with the absolute advantage. Then maybe 17th. This one will be 17th century. Before that, first this was 17th and 16th century. The mercantilist. Maybe wrong spelling. Mercantilist. Mercantilism. Okay. This one about the wealth represents here power and rich. And 18th century, maybe that is from David Ricardo. And that is the comparative advantage. Yep. And then it's 19th century. We will follow this evolution study, okay, from one chapter to another. That should be the Hector's and Owens. Hector, and I could not remember his name, the full name, okay. But this one is, let's say, introduce the resources abundance. And 20th century, there's another one. This is the standard ones, okay. Standard theory develops. Forms most of the previous concept to consideration, okay. And then 21st century, that is also a very 21st century. Those are the big one, but we don't go to 21st century, okay. That one should be the partners. We can say Paul Krugman. That is also the very famous ones. Paul Krugman concept. I think he introduced the first mover advantage. Okay, so these are the trade evolution until now. It started in 16th century. It has been documented. But before 16th century, there's also the trade happening, okay? Yeah, maybe long times ago, since I discussed to you about the before histories periods. Give me a second, okay?
Yes, like I love you.
Wait, what?
Don't. Which and don't.
Này đó nhớ không? Which ấy nên nó.
Hello, yes, okay. Give me a minute. I'm talking on phone for a couple of minutes, okay? I'll be back in a few minutes only, okay? Sorry. Hello.
Yes, like, thank
Okay.
you.
Dạ chờ.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sorry, a bit busy at the moment. Okay, like I discussed to you, this is the trade evolutions, meaning to say it happened from one stage to another stage. And like I discussed to you also, you need to be aware that why can the Ricardo can introduce the new concepts? Why not people follow the Adam Smith concept? Because there are some complementaries to the previous concept, okay? Similar thing, hectors and all, and also I give some complementaries to David Ricardo's, and also standard series they combine together all, and then Paul Krugman also trying to figure out new things. Okay, so these are the stage from one state to another. And like I discussed to you earlier, we need to say that even during the before the history, there's also the trade happens, trade transaction also happens. I think you also noticed that from the Chinese movie series or some of the sort of historical record also. There are some trade from India to the Southeast Asia, some of the Spanish goods to the Southeast Asia to some part of America or through the shipping, right? So that international trade transaction happens is also bring to the news here mercantilism. Yeah, let's refer back to our prehistory a little bit. Prehistory refers to the way that people are trying to allocate the resources in terms of going to the forest. Am I making you feel complicated now? Hello? Am I making you feel complicated now?
Teacher, I think we hear some noises in your background that doesn't make your sound clear enough, teacher.
Yeah, there's some of the I think it's gonna be finished soon because the engines, some of the engines nearby, they are starting the engines, so it's gonna be finished soon. Okay. So let me summary for you a little bit against international trade evolutions. It happens in the prehistory. Okay, so be aware of that. And how can we observe the international trade concept happens? We observe in the prehistory because people understand how to divide the tasks together, allocated tasks to be done. If you look at the history, in order to be survived, people go to the forest to hunt and collect the fruit, right? And then the village chief realized that that's not effective if you all goes to the forest and hunt and also collect the fruit at the same time. You know what I'm saying? That's why the villagers tried to command this way. If you were the men, you need to go to the forest and do the hunting only. If you were the women, you just go to the forest and then doing the collecting fruit only. Because the village chief observed that men are good at internal hunting, women are good at in terms of collecting fruit. And what next? The village chief will ask them to exchange their product that they come from the forest. It's also the increasing of the production also observed during that times, meaning to say that they have more meat and also more fruit to be enjoyed. Okay, that's why I'm trying to tell you that even those in the prehistory, the trade concept already developed, but just people don't know how to call this one as the trade. Okay. But it already developed until this humans brains, and then it developed from one state to another. That's why you have seen it's developed further and further and further. You get what I mean? And until 16th century, there was a documentation record on that times, and then the mercantilist, that is the way represent the powers and words. That's why mercantilists trying to convince or trying to persuade the country leader in order to do more exportations in order to increase their wealth. Okay, because they realize that when I have a lot of wealth, I have power, I'm rich, so I need that. That's why many countries trying to engage together and then doing the exportations. Okay, is that all right? So far, so good. Hello.
Yes, teacher. It's okay, teacher.
Very good, thanks. Any doubt you would like me to clarify before I move on?
Teacher, can you explain a little deeper between the transition from one state to another, teacher? Like, how can the absolute advantage started to emerge, and how it comes to comparative advantage?
Yes, I will tell you when we come to this. I will tell you, okay? But the prehistory you already understood, right? It happens in a long time in terms of the international trade law. International trade concept has been happens in a long time. Okay, so now let's move to our story here. The 16th century, the wealth represented powers and rich. That's why mercantilists tried to persuade the country leaders in order to do more exportations, and then they can have more wealth, and then they become more powerful and richer. Okay, and after that, this one a little bit not so convenient. Just there's no clear, let's say there's not so much clear foundation in order to do the trade. It just not only represent the powers and rich and what are the products that we are going to export. Okay, yeah. And then Adam Smith come to this century 17th with his textbook, very famous, that is called the Nation Wales. Yes, the Nation Wales, written by this guy in the 1777, and then he introduced the absolute advantage. Absolute advantage here meaning to say that Adam Smith introduced that if one party observed that you can produce better than the others within two goods, okay? You can produce better than the other in one good, and the other can produce better than you in the other goods. So you just need to reallocate your resources, producing the product that you are really good at, okay? And the other guy is just producing the other good that they really good at, and then you just do the trade together, meaning the trade, meaning the refer to any activity of exchanging goods and services with a particular price, okay, or at a certain price. That's why as we introduce this, we observe this. We will go into detail in this slide also. And then how can it comes to the comparative advantage? Absolute advantage, it observes only a productivity through looking at the productions within 1 hour, meaning to say that I myself as Panya and you yourself as Kim Hua, we produce two products. Okay, I produce good A and good B. Kim Hua also produce good A and good B. Okay, and then if I look at myself, I use 1 hour in order to produce good A, and then Kim Hua also use 1 hour in order to produce good A. Let's look at to the result, which ones or who can produce better. So if I produced 5 units, but Kumho produces only 4 units, so meaning to say that I'm having the absolute advantage in terms of producing good A, okay? And then if I compare to good B, I myself within 1 hour, I can produce only 2 units of good B, while Kumho can produce at 4 units of good B, okay? So Kumho is having the absolute advantage in terms of producing good B. So ideally, Adam Smith introduced to you by this way. If you notice this thing happens, one party having specialization in one product, the other parties has the other specialization in another products, so you just exchange it. So I myself will reallocate my production to say I will spend more time in terms of producing good A, and Kim Hoo will reallocate his production resources too, meaning to say he will spend more time in terms of producing good B, and then we are doing the exchange of the goods. Okay, we are doing the trade of the good A and good B, and at the end of the day, I can consume more good A and good B. Who also can consume more good A and good B better, or instead of producing both good with each party, meaning to say I don't need to produce good A and good B at the same times. Who also not need to produce good A and good B at the same times. Okay, that is absolute advantage pictures. And then it comes to the Ricardo. Any a little bit doubt with that? Hello. Hello. May, is that all right now?
Yes, teacher, it's okay for me. Teacher.
Very good, thanks. And it moves to comparative advantage because of this way. If you look at to the absolute advantage, that is the Adam Smith concept. We have the country. How can I say this? The type of country has been categorized into three main type of country. We have the low-income country, middle-income country, and the high-income country. If we measure by the income, okay. And then if you look at to the low-income country, or sometimes it's also the same as considered as the less developed country, and the high-income country is the developed country. If you look at to the absolute advantage, most of the products, most of the goods and services, the advanced country or the high-income country has almost all the absolute advantage in almost all products, right? So there will be no incentive for me to do the trade with the between the developing or less developed with the developed country, right? For example, we have 100 ranks of products. If you look at to the developed country or high-income countries, they have a 90 product already. They have absolute advantage in 90 products already. Just only 10 product that we can be considered as the trade to be happened. So ideally, the trade volume is very small because of this case, right? And then David Ricardo says we cannot just look at only the absolute advantage. We need to look at to the comparative advantage. Okay, the comparative advantage here meaning to say that, like this previous example, I myself and Kim Hua, okay, we produce Korean good B. I cannot just only look only one good. Okay, I need to compare the opportunity cost of two goods. Also, Kim Hua compare the opportunity cost of producing two goods too, meaning to say that I myself, if I want to produce one good A, for example, if I want to produce one good A, how much good B do I need to give up? Okay, again, if I want to produce good 1 unit of good A, how much resources for producing good B that I need to give up? Oh, sorry, how much of good B that I need to give up? Let's say the resources are limited, okay? The resources are limited. For example, I myself, I consider only the labor can produce the products, okay? I don't talk about the capital and land. I just can talk about only labor. So if I have 8 hours in order to work in the field to produce two products, let's say meat and potatoes, Kumho also have 8 hours to produce the products, meat and potatoes. So if we believe in the comparative advantage concept, we don't compare only one product, we compare both products together. Meaning to say that if I want to have 1 unit of meat, how many units of potato that I need to give up in order to get it? Because I have only 8 hours in my production, okay? If I want to have 1 unit of meat, how many potato that I need to give up? The same thing for Kim Ho. If Kim Ho would like to have 1 unit of meat, how many potato that Kim Ho need to give up? See that? So if I myself give up producing 1 meat, I give up 2 potato, for example. Kim Hoo produce one meat, but Kim Hoo need to give up 5 potatoes, meaning to say that I'm more specialized in terms of producing meat, right? Before I just give up only two potato and then can have one meat. While Kim Hoo need to give up 5 potato in order to get one meat. So I'm more specialized in terms of producing meat. And in the same scenario, I also look at the production of potatoes. If I would like to get one potatoes, how many meat or how much meat that I need to give up, okay? Kim Hoo also look at the same thing. If Kim Hoo would like to have one unit of potatoes, how many unit of meat that Kim Hoo need to give up? If I realize that I give up more meat than Kim Hoo or give up meat, meaning to say that Kim Hoo is more specialized in terms of producing potato, and he has the comparative advantage. See that? And then we need to do the trade against. But the way we decide, the way we come up which product that I need to produce, it's not the same as the absolute advantage. Okay. This one you just look at the absolute value, but this one you compare both products, okay, or both goods, and then you need to do the trade again, okay. So this one you just look at the concept of doing that, but this one David Ricardo David Ricardo doesn't also go not so far. That's why Hector's and Olin come to complement this too. Hector's and Olin try to add some more variable into the equations. In terms of this, try to add some more equation, meaning to say that we cannot just look at only how can we understand which ones having better, having the higher opportunity cost in terms of producing the others. That's why Hector's and Olin trying to create another variable into the equation that is called resources abundance. Resources abundant, for example, like this. Before you decide, you also need to look at your resources in your country. Which are the resources that you have, and then you can produce this. That's why Hector and Olin, that is called the how can I create this? This one called the capital intensive products and labor intensive products. Let me write it down for you. If you go to this in detail also, don't worry about that. Labor intensive products and capital intensive products. Why I write these ones? Because you need to realize that in order to produce one product, one good or service, we need resources. Sometimes we need 3 kind of component or resources together. We need labor, capital, and land together. But in this sense, some products are heavily depend on the capital, and some products are heavily depend on the labor. For example, if you look at electronic equipments or electronics devices, you might need more capital in order to make that product to be happen in the market, right? You need to hire very high skill labor. You need to have a lot of money. You need to have a lot of something. So that's why that is called capital incentive. Okay, or let's say a gun and butters, for example, like this. Gun and butters. Gun means they need more. Gun means how can I say that? Need more capitals, and while the butters, it just needs the more labor. Okay, that's why we need to consider this too. And Hector Nolin say, if you realize that your country has a lot of labor, you should produce the labor incentive products. If your country has a lot of capitals, you should produce the capital intensive products. Okay, and then do the trade together. That is Hector and Olin try to add another variable into the equations. Okay, for the Adam Smith and David Ricardo, they don't think much about the resources which are available in the economy or in their country. Okay, is that all right? Hello.
Teacher, I have a question.
Yes, please. Me.
Like teacher, based on what you said, like if the country has more advantage in labor intensive products, then they should produce more of a labor intensive product, and the country that has more capital intensive product, they should prioritize the product. So how can, like, most of the time developing countries tend to have labor intensive product, and developed country they have capital intensive product. So how can the developing country or small country be better off by doing trade with those developed country, teacher?
Okay, let's look at by this way. If you look at, for example, I can give you a very clear example in this sense. If you look at trading pattern between Cambodia and the U.S. and Cambodia and the European Union, we observe that Cambodia export a lot of agricultural products to the European Union and also the textiles to European Unions and also to the US. Why? Because the labor in Cambodia a little cheaper compared to the other country, right? And if you look at to the land in Cambodia, there's also many arable land for producing agricultural products like rice, peppers, rubbers, cassava, and mango, for example. See that? While the US and European unions, they may have more money compared to Cambodia. That's why they produce more computers, they produce more smartphones, they produce more vehicles, they produce more computer devices. That's why we do the exports. Sorry, we do the trade together in this sense. Okay. Again, if you would like to understand whether these two countries gonna be better off in terms of doing this trade, that's absolutely true. Okay. If that is free trade, you need to remember that if that is a free trade, both parties will against. But the very interesting question here: do we receive the same gains? That is no. Okay. Both parties we gains, but we cannot say that we are gaining equally. So that is not a good thing. And then that's why the WTO, World Trade Organization, has been established in order to tackle or facilitate those kind of trade dispute or trade conflict. Okay, if you better than me, I don't feel good. It is not fair enough to the human being. So I need to bring you to the WTO to deal with this for the WTO members. Okay. Is that clear? I mean, for
Yes,
example,
teacher.
yes, for example, very simple. If you yourself, you realize that you just have only labor, low cost labor, and you have the land. Of course, like I discussed to you earlier, if you want to produce computers, if you want to produce automobiles, if you want to produce vehicles, do you think Cambodia cannot? No, Cambodia also can produce those kind of things. Cambodia also can produce the laptop, can produce the automobile, can produce the vehicle, can produce the home appliances like the refrigerators, air cons, something like that, microwave, also possible. But the question is that ideal enough for Cambodia to produce those products? No, that is not ideal, right? The US spent only 2 people and 5 hours in order to produce that, while Cambodia spent almost 1 month in order to produce that. And we need 50 people, for example. Is that worthwhile to do so? No, it's not worthwhile, right? That's why that is a very foundation concept in you learning the economic course. Yeah, that is called the managing the scarce resources well, right? When we learn about economics course, the economics principle has introduced to you that people are, I cannot say principle, the economics belief or the economic definition already attached to you well. One is that economic will refer to the study of social science on how a society manage its scarce resources, right? So if you learn economics, we need to understand this. So we need to manage our scarce resources well. So yeah, I don't want to spend my 100 people producing one refrigerators, and I need to spend them 1 month in order to produce that, while I just can do the importation from South Korea very short period of times, and also cheaper than I produce myself. So yeah, ideally like this. Okay, is that I don't know whether this makes sense to you, Mings. Both of them will gain, but the gain might not be equal. Remember this. That's why the trade conflict happens. But you're also going to see that some particular, I think you already seen this in the introductions to international trade modules. Even those will realize that, but some people, some particular group might be also suffer from the international trade, right? While the other might also enjoy the benefits of the international trade. But if you think as a whole, the country will be gained. Like I discussed to you, like you have seen in the previous modules, like the infant industry, for example, like infant industry, which just very growing up like this. And then if you allow the international trade happens, you are killing the infant industry, right? Similar thing to agricultural product for the last couple of years ago. There's a lot of vegetables imported from Vietnam, from Thailand. So almost all maybe most of the farmers almost gave up the growing radish. You know radish. You know radish. Kim Hu. Radish. That is called chai thai. Yes. Radish, carrot, cucumber, celery, limes, and also some green peppers almost died because we import from China. We import from Vietnam is much better. So the farmer almost died because of that. See that? So the farmer will suffer from this, but some of the country also enjoy the in order to the whole country to be against. Okay, I don't know whether I'm making you all clear with this.
Yes, teacher. It's
Very
clear,
good.
teacher.
Thanks. Udon, is that all right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Very good, thanks. Very good, thanks. So, okay, after having the 19th century hydrogen only introduced to this, and then it comes to the standard model, as I remember correctly. Standard model is the standard the model which trying to taking into taking everything into consideration despite they call standard models, and most of the people also believe in this standard model. Okay, that's it. And then the last one is the Paul Krugman. He's really famous. I think he's still alive, and I don't know how old is he now, but he's really old now, and he got the Nobel Prize in I couldn't remember the year well, but in the international economics, he got the Nobel Prize under the scheme of international economics. And then one of them is the first. One of his theory is one of the first mover advantage. He believed that the first mover advantage, meaning to say that if you are the first company to come or to join the market, whether it is domestically or the internationally, you will be have the advantage. And there are two advantages for this one. First mover advantage. There are two advantages here. The first one is called the loyalty advantage. Loyalty advantage. The second is the market segmentations capturing, let's say the how can I say this? The propulsion of market segmentations. Okay. If you notice well, there are still some of the elderly people in Cambodia still have the loyalty with the Japanese products, right? Let me reveal one of the very interesting story from my side to you. I'm very last couple of years ago, I could not remember the year well, and then we had a new home, and then we need to buy some home appliances, right? I live with my families, with my parents, with my sibling, something like that, and then we need to buy some home appliances. You know what happens? There are many home appliances that we can buy, right? We can from the Japan, Korea, China, US, or European unions. We have Samsung, LG, Panasonic, or something, blah, 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 blah. Right? And then you know what? My parents, they quite old already. But what they suggested me to do, you know what? Beside the beside the Japanese product, they don't want me to buy anything. They don't believe in the LG products. Oh, sorry, I'm not complaining LG product. Hello, you get what I'm saying? Hello.
Yes, teacher.
Yes, I'm not complaining about the LG product quality. I'm not complaining about the Samsung product quality. Okay, I'm just trying to make you understand that some of the elderly people, they still be loyal to the previous first mover. Because Japan came to Cambodia very beginning before Korea and China came. Yeah, I believe that. So there's a lot of, ZVC, I don't know how to call in the full word, I don't know the full name. JVC. ZVC, that is in French alphabet. You know what? He asked me to find those kind of products, and then I could not find it even in a single market. But he still be a fan of ZVC. He still be a fan of some kind of the other Japanese product because he believed in this. He believes in these qualities. You know this one. That is the first concept of the first mover advantage that Paul Krugman discovers. And very true in our society, also true. I'm not quite sure, but also some elderly people, they also do the same. But some also are open minds to try to the new test, like like a Samsung or LG, something like that. Am I making you confused with this? Okay. Hello. Yeah, that is the first loyalty. The first advantage is loyalty, and the second one is the market segmentations. If you come first, you have a bigger market segmentations, meaning you can capture more market size compared to the others. Okay. Yep. That is called Paul Krugman discovered first mover advantage. Yeah, if you go to the Google, you will see his background, I think. But this guy is very famous, very famous. Some of the let's say many famous university, if they are doing the international economics, they may follow the Paul Krugman textbook more or less. They believe Krugman is correct. Okay, yeah. If you look at to his conference, there's also interesting things in the. It's also available in YouTube. Okay, so I think that should be all with the trade evolutions. Kim Ho, so now you already learned this, correct?
The second advantage is market segmentation, right?
Yes, market segmentation meaning to say that you can get higher. You have the high opportunity to capture the market. Okay, because the market size is very small, very how can I say this? It's very 100%, right? For example, in Cambodia, you discover one of the product that we don't have before. So the market, 100% of the market is yours, right? So it's just a matter how you develop it, the matter how you capture it, right? You are not just trying to how can I say, to compete with the others competitor to get the market share, right? David, is that all right with this?
Yes, sure.
Yes, that is the meaning of the market segmentation that I refers to. Okay. I think quite simple too. If you look at the Cambodia context, I may give you one example of the brown coffee. Actually, yes, I'm sorry. Sometimes I mention a very clear name, lah. Brown coffee. I believe that he was one of the successful coffee in Cambodia industry. Why? Because he just come very at the early stage, right? And then he can stabilize his business too. Because of what? We are not discussing about his stabilization strategy, but we discuss about the market share. You remember that the brown just came to Cambodia, came to Phnom Penh very at the beginning, and then it's brought spread very fast to many locations that you can enjoy brown coffee, and then most of the coffee drinker know about browns in the very beginning of time, right? But nowadays there's several competitors come, like a Starbucks also joins Cambodia markets, like Costa also joins, Glory Drinks also joins, and some of the other local coffee also joins the market. That's why the market a little bit smaller. But at least at the beginning, you have a very big side of the market, and then you need to have a proper strategy in order to maintain your market size. Otherwise, your competitors will come and then enjoy it. Okay. But at least at the beginning, how many years do you make? Can you imagine how many years that a brown coffee can enjoy the profits? There are many years already, maybe 2 or 3 years or 5 years, I don't know. Not quite sure, but maybe a couple of years that the brown, like a monopolist in terms of coffee industry in Cambodia, they just enjoy a lot of profits. You see that? So normally, let me give you a very strategic sentence for you here. Normally, I believe when brand come the very beginning of the stage, and then a couple of years, if they have a lot of profit, I think they still put more investments. That is a very good strategy to maintain the market stability. Because you also need to realize that when you earn the profit, if that is the free market, the new entrant gonna come to that market very soon. I think you already learned this in the microeconomic course, correct? That is competitive markets. You remember that? Hello?
Yes, sir. Remember, sir.
Yeah, competitive market, if that is the profit still exists in the market, there will be the new entrant coming, right? Yeah, that's very true. And then what's the old sorry, not the old, what the how can I say this? The initial company do they what the initial companies do, they always bring some of the capital in order to make some improvement and progressive operations. Yeah, otherwise you cannot compete with the others. Okay, I think that should be all with this. Any further clarification you need from me? Hello. Hello. Hi, Dahlia, you still here? You already gone?
Yes, like I'm here.
Okay.
I don't have a question regarding that. I understand that.
Okay, very good, thanks. Yeah, just realized that you're very clever, lah. Oh, you're very smart. I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah, thank you so much, Adalia, for your coordination in terms of forming a group and also classing the topic. Okay, assignment topics. Okay, very good. Then. Okay, if you don't have any further questions, maybe I can move to my slide and then we can continue. Okay. Yeah, so I need to move my slide. Okay, and this one's again from trade. What are the gain from trade? I think I already discussed to you the model of absolute advantage and the comparative advantage. So that oh, sorry, I need to talk to phone only 1 more minute, please. Okay, give me a few minutes. Please wait. Yeah, please wait a few minutes. Okay, so these are the gain from trade. Okay, like I discussed to you, absolute and comparative advantage. So the gain from trade, increase your consumption. Okay, through specialization in the production and trade. So what's the absolute advantage mean? I already discussed to you some already. Okay, build on the idea of Adam Smith's test. Absolute advantage exists between nations. This one can be nation and also can be parties. Okay, when they differ in ability to produce goods. More specifically, you can say absolute advantage exists when one country is good at producing one items, while another country is good at producing another items. Okay. Look at this example, very clear for you. If you look at the example, we have two countries, we have US and UK, okay? And their two products have been produced. One is width and the second one is closed, okay? And the width we measure by barrel per hour and the close we measure by yards per hour. If you look at to the US, okay, US can produce six barrels per hour, and also US can produce the close with 4 yard of close per hour too. Okay, whilst the UK can produce one barrels of width per hour, whilst UK the same can produce 5 yards of close per hour. Okay, assuming that the UK change with this. This one is just the example for you, okay? This one is the information given. So assume the US exchange 6 width for 6 close with the UK. Okay, they exchange like this. So the UK we against 2, right? The US will U again 2C, 2 closed, and the UK against 24C. This one here. When you produce it and then you this one should be more information for you, okay? But just let me assumption like this. So the US gain 2C and the UK gain 24C. So the fact that UK gain much more than the US is not important. Like I discussed to you, which one is the gain is not equally. That's why we need the international World Trade Organization in order to maintain the trade transactions. So what is important is both nations can gain specialization in the productions. Okay, yeah. Is that all right? Okay, so this is a comparative advantage like we discussed earlier. It's built by the David Ricardo. A country has a comparative advantage in producing a ghost, introducing a ghost, if the opportunity cost of producing that good in some of the other is lower in that country than it is in other countries. See that we compare the opportunity cost. Like I discussed to you earlier, the example of potato and mixed. I am myself and with the who are producing both go together, and then we need to compare the opportunity cost, and then we can we can realize the comparative advantage. So this is the example of comparative advantage. We have the same in UK and US, and this one is also the two product, read and closed. Okay, yep, 6 and then 4 and then 1 and then 2. Okay, so an example of comparative advantage, you need to think about this very well. Okay, yep. Just this is the information that we have, and this one, if we want to have 1 unit of, if US want to have 1 unit of parcels, sorry, 1 unit of width of 1 parcel of width, UK needs to, this one is the ones, how can I say this? This one needs to give up with this, producing closed, while UK needs to give up with this. See that? In terms of having this one, it equals to producing this with this one. Okay, and while the UK need to equal with 2. So US have comparative advantage in width, right? Because you have 1 unit of width, and then you give up the close less than 1 unit, 2/3 only. While UK, you also want to have 1 width, 1 parcels of width, but you need to give up 2 closest, 2 yard closest. So you don't have the comparative advantage on this. The opportunity cost higher, that's about this one. And UK has the comparative advantage in terms of producing close. If you just say this one is closed, the same, you need to have 1 closed, 1 unit of closed, and this one you also need to have 1 unit of closed. How much the width that you need to give up in terms of your productions, and also what how many width that you need to give up in terms of to having 1 close. Okay, the same concept. And then if the US, this one we put for the scenario for you, if the US exchange 6 weeks for 6 close with the UK, the same, the US gains 2 closed and the UK gains 6 closed. Mutually beneficial trade can take place even if one nation is less efficient than the other in their productions of both commodities. Okay. Don't worry, I will give you some exercises in terms of the comparative advantage. Okay. Yeah. So this one is also the same. The example of this too. If we come like this. 6, 4, and then 3, 2, and then you just draw it. You can construct the production possibility frontiers producing this, okay? Because this one we have close and width, that is the linear, or you can call this one as the linear relationship. Yeah. So you just have this, okay, and then you just calculate it. You just draw it. United States we have this. 180, you just wrote it. You know PPF, production possibility frontiers, refers to the boundary of the production that could possibly produce. Okay, and that's the linear relationship. If you spend all the resources in terms of producing clothes, you can produce 120s. And if you used all your resources in terms of producing width, you can produce 200. That is in the US. Yeah. Yeah. And then this is the regions. That's the properties. That's the property of the production possibility frontiers. There are 3 property here, production possibility frontiers. Inside here, that is called underutilized resources. meaning to say that you still have the resources to scale up your productions, okay? And all the point along the line or along the curve here, that is called productive maximums, meaning to say that the economy already used all the resources in order to produce these two goods. And the point outside the boundary here, that is called unattainable existing resources and technology. Okay, because you don't have any more resources in order to produce this. When you learn about the economic growth, just open the brackets. When you learn about the economic growth, okay, when you learn about economic growth, when this is come to here, the shifting of the production possibility from here represent the economic growth, okay? Yeah, but it's not a growth course, but just let you know, we measure the growth sometimes can also based on the production possibility frontiers, okay? That's why this one is unattainable, but if the growth happen, it's gonna shift here, so can be produced, okay? With the existing resources and technologies, okay? So you already understand that you can scale up your resources and you can scale up your technologies. It will lead you to grow. Okay, you want to stop it here first, or you want to continue? There's still some more to go. I cannot go into. Can you just have a small break first, and then we continue for the second sessions? Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Before we close our discussion, are there any questions you want me to address further? No, so far so good, Muni.
Yes, like yes.
Okay, very good. Udam, so far so good, right?
Yes, sir. Very good, sir.
Very good, very good. Visa.
Yes, I'm also good.
Okay, very good. Yarit, is that all right? Okay. Davin.
Yes, sir. So far so good.
Okay, okay. So we can have a small break and then we will resume our class as normal at 7:30. Okay, so enjoy your break. Okay, I will host you another link. Okay, so I end our meeting now and thank you for the first session. Okay, see you in 30 minutes. See you. Bye bye.
See you, teacher.
Bye.